Hello and welcome to our 15th session, and in this session we are now going to work on the next section, that is the text section. So to begin with, we have launched this Visual Studio Code and I will come into the terminal and I am going to type npm run dev, and when I execute it, see, this is going to open in localhost 5173, and when I click on this, this is going to open here, and in this, see, this is the site we have built. We have completed the hero section, we have completed the about section, and if you come down, we have completed the experience section, and now we are going to go into the text section. And for this text section, if you come to app.jsx here, see, here you have the text section, and if I control click on this, the Tech.jsx file is going to open. And where is this file present? It is present in the component Tech.jsx here. Now, to just show you how this is going to work, see, here the text section will have these kind of rotating spheres, 3D spheres, on which our technology, in whichever technology we are good, those logos are going to appear, and this is what we are going to design in this session. So now, coming into this Tech.jsx, we are going to start by importing all the required components. So for this, in the first line, I am going to come over here, I will delete this line, and right now I am going to type import, and in open close flower bracket, I am going to import the BallCanvas. And this BallCanvas is coming from this, in the same directory you have a folder called canvas, and from that it is coming. I will end it with semicolon, and in the next line I am going to import the next component. In flower brackets, I am going to call the section wrapper, which we designed two classes earlier, and this section wrapper is going to come from the root directory HOC, that is high order components. Then the next thing that is import is the main content, and the content for this technology is coming from the technologies, and this technologies is coming from the root constants folder. So if you come over here and in the constants folder, say, if you see here in the constant folder you have index.js. If you open this and if you just scroll in this, see, you had nav links, and if you scroll here, you can see the constant technologies, and in this technology, this is a list, and in this list, every item which is present in this flower bracket contains a name and an icon, see, and this icon is imported through the import statement on the top. So with this, now I will close this index.js file, and I am going to come back to this tech.jsx file, and in this return, I am going to select this div, delete it, and I am now going to create a new div, and for this div, whatever I have created, I am going to add class name, and what are the class name we are going to use here? We are going to call flex space, then flex row, then we are going to call flex wrap, and later on this will be followed by justify center, and then we are going to add a gap of 10. And after this, I will come into the div now. We are now going to, in flower bracket, we are going to call this technologies, and this technologies is a list, and we want every item of this technology to be looped. For that, I am going to call the map, and calling this map, I am going to add this parenthesis, and inside that I will add one more parenthesis, and the parameter we use here is technology, that is singular, and then I will come out of this, add an equal sign, greater than sign, and I will add one more flower bracket, one more parenthesis, and inside this we are going to add one more div. And actually I couldn't get the closing div, so I will add the closing div also, and in between these two divs our content is going to come. And now for this div we are going to call some classes. I am going to type class name, and the class name that we are going to use here is, I am going to set its width to 28, and then I am going to set its height to 28, and I will come out now, and after this class name I am now going to call a key equal to, and in flower bracket we are going to now call technology dot name, and this is the key that we are going to use. And after this, now coming into this div, we are now going to call the BallCanvas, and I am going to add a / and close this. And for this BallCanvas, now inside this, we are going to give this a parameter called icon, which will be equal to, in this flower bracket, this will be equal to technology dot icon, and then we will just save it. And as soon as I save this, you can see number of ball appearing over here. And now only thing is, in this export default, instead of exporting text directly like the last time, we are going to use this section wrapper, and inside this section wrapper we are going to call this tech component and then comma, and for the ID I am going to leave it blank and then end it with semicolon, and I am going to save this. I want to now define this BallCanvas. So with control click, if I click on BallCanvas, this file is going to open, ball.jsx. This is present inside component canvas. We have this ball.jsx, and now coming into this file, now we are going to start by importing some of the component over here, and import React. This is fine, let us leave it as it is. And after React, I am going to add a comma, and I am going to import one more component. In flower bracket, I am going to call this suspense, and this suspense I am going to import it from React and then end it with semicolon. And coming to next line, import, we are going to import canvas. We are going to import canvas, and this canvas is coming from React 3 fiber. Then the next component we are going to import is, we are going to import a series of components from this DREI. So for this, in open close flower bracket, the first thing we are going to import is decal, and this decal is coming from React 3 drive. And here, comma, I am going to import one more component which is float, and then comma, next we are going to import orbit controls, comma, next we are going to import preload, comma, and then we are going to import use texture. And all these components, these 5 components, I will come to view and choose word wrap so that we can see it full. And the last import that we are going to use here is import, and now we are going to import this canvas loader, and this canvas loader is coming from, in inverted commas, // this is going to come from the folder loader, and I am going to now close this. And this canvas loader, if I click on this and open it, we had designed it where it is going to show the percentage of loading at the initially. We had used it in the computer.jsx file. So I will close this. And now coming into the ball, the component that we are going to use, or the parameter we use here, is named as props. Coming into this constant, the very first thing we are going to do is, we are going to declare a const, and this constant in square bracket, this is decal, and for this decal, this will be equal to use texture, and this texture from where it is coming, in open close parenthesis, I am going to add a square bracket, and this is nothing but props dot img u capital URL, and I will end this line with semicolon. So what is happening here? See, this props dot img URL, this props is coming from where? If you come to Tech.jsx, we are calling here technology dot icon, and this technology dot icon from where it is coming? If you come to constant index.jx, you can see here, if you come to technology, you have the icon names as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and these things are imported over here at the top from assets. And if you come to this assets folder, inside this assets folder, we are having one index.js, and this is where this logo path is determined. In the folder called technology, we have all these folders. So this path will be replaced over here, that is in the ball.js. This is what is going to be replaced in this ball.js props.image URL. Now here this return function is going to return a ball canvas, and that ball canvas is not yet defined here. So for this, what I am now going to do is, below this, above this export default ball, we are going to declare one more const, and we are going to call now this ball canvas, and this ball canvas will be equal to, it's a function in open close parenthesis. I am going to add a flower bracket, and inside this we are going to call the icon. I will have equals and greater than sign, and inside this flower bracket now we are going, this is going to return, and in open close parenthesis, what is this going to return? This is going to return, I will enter, and this is going to return a canvas, see, and I will close this. So you have this opening and closing tag, and inside this canvas, now this canvas is similar to the one that we used in our hero section. So in the hero section, we got this canvas from where? Inside this component canvas folder, we had computers.jsx file. Click on it to open it, and inside this, if you come here to the bottom, you can see here in this computer canvas, we are having this return statement, and this is returning this canvas. I am going to select this entire block here. I am going to right click and I am going to copy this. Now I will come to ball.jsx, and here instead of this canvas, I will delete it, and here I am going to paste this. I am also going to make some changes in this parameter. We are going to remove some of the things, and the first thing is, in this frame loop demand, let it be as it is. We are going to select this camera position, we do not need it, I am going to delete it, and I am going to move it to the top, and then coming to this suspense fallback, the canvas loader will be as it is, and inside this orbit control now, we doesn't need this maximum polar angle and minimum polar angle. These two components we will remove it, and now we will move this to the top, and only component we will have in orbit controller now will be this enable zoom. Okay, and after this, let us come down, and we are now not going to use the computer component. I am now going to delete this. Here what we are going to render is the ball, and I am going to add / and greater than sign, and I am going to close this, and inside this the parameter we are going to add will be img URL, and this image URL img URL is equal to, in flower bracket I am going to declare the icon. So after this, now in export, and we are going to export the not the ball, we are going to export the ball canvas, and I will end it with semicolon. And now coming back to this ball component, and inside this return, we are not I will delete this entire div, and I am going to replace this with float, and I will close this tag. And now here inside this float, I will add the lesser than sign, and I am going to call the first component is ambient light, and for this ambient light I am going to add / and close this tag, and inside this I am going to set the ambient light intensity, I am going to set it to around 0.25. We are going to add some parameters. So inside this float, now the parameters we are going to add for this is, first is the speed, and the speed will be equal to, in flower bracket, this will be 1.75. And after this speed, the next component we are going to add here is See, there are two brackets, so that's why we are getting the error. I will remove one, and after this speed, the next component we need is rotation intensity, and this rotation intensity will be set to 1. And then we also have another component. I will press right arrow, come out of that flower bracket, and I am now going to call float intensity, and I am going to set this float intensity to 2. And after this, below this ambient light, we are also going to add, I am going to add lesser than sign, and I am going to call this directional light, and this directional light will, this is again forward slash, and I will close it, and inside this directional light we are going to set its position, and this position will be equal to, in flower bracket I will add one square bracket, the x value will be 0, y value will be 0, comma, and for z I am going to add 0.05. And now finally, if I refresh here and if I come down here, still we are not seeing anything here. Okay, nothing is visible. So to make something visible here, we have to add the mesh. We have not added any mesh. So for this I will come over here, and I am going to now call the component mesh, and I am going to close this tag, and inside this mesh now, for this mesh also I am going to give some parameters, and the parameter I am going to give is, first is cast shadow space, and then I am also going to call receive shadow. And now here after this receive shadow, I am also going to add, see the scale property I am going to add, and this will be equal to around 2.75. And then coming inside the mesh now, I am now going to call a mesh lesser than sign, and I am going to call this IcoSehedron geometry. This is something like the sphere. This IcoSehedron geometry we are going to add, and I am going to add a forward slash, and I am going to close this tag, and inside this IcoSehedron geometry we are going to give it a parameter called arcs, and this arcs will be equal to, in a square bracket I am going to enter 1, 1, and then I am going to save this, and as soon as I save, see you are seeing some isohedron geometry appearing over here. See, can you see? So these are the isohedron geometries appearing over here. Now after this I am going to come to next line, and now I am going to add a material to my geometry. So for this I will add lesser than sign, and I am going to call this mesh standard material, and I am going to add forward slash and greater than sign, and I am going to close this, and this mesh standard material is going to have some parameters. The very first one is the color, and this color I am going to select it here, and this color, instead of flower bracket, in inverted comma I am going to add hash FFF8EB. This is the color, and after adding the color, the next property we are going to add for this is space. We are going to call polygon offset. See here, polygon offset. Press space, and we are also going to call polygon offset factor, and we are going to set this factor to -5, and then we are going to save this. So automatically you can see how the shadows are changing. See, you can see it over here. And now here, after this polygon offset factor, I am also going to add flat shading. Okay. So now coming out of this mesh, I am now going to call the texture. For this I am going to call decal, and this is again forward slash and greater than sign. I am going to call this component, and in this component the parameter we are going to apply is, we are going to set its map and this map will be equal to the decal that we have declared at the top here. And now if I save it and if I scroll down and see this section, so I will come to this section. So right now if I rotate, I am not seeing any icon, but what I can do is I will come over here and on the top of this map here, position, and this position I am going to add a square bracket, and inside that it will be equal to 0 comma, then 0 comma and 1, and if I save it and now if I refresh this, now you can already see the images over here, see. But the only problem is all the images are mirrored, see, the images are mirrored. I have to mirror it back. So how are we going to do this? To set it right, after this position, I am now going to add rotation. Inside the square bracket I will add a square bracket, and the x value will be 2 into, I am going to call this math.pi. This is going to, on x axis it is going to rotate it by 180 degree, comma, and I am going to add 0 for y axis, and for z axis I will add 6.25. And now if I save this and if I refresh this, so now you can see that the icons are appearing correctly. Okay, great, this is working fine. Now only thing is, after this, now only thing, additional thing I am going to add is below this rotation I am also going to give it a flat shading and I am going to save it. So now if I just refresh it, now you can see all the textures are rendered and it is appearing fine. So if you see that it is slightly darker, you can come here and this flat float speed is set to 0.75. I will make it 1.75, and also I will set the ambient lights intensity. Instead of 0.25, I will make it 1, and if I save it, see, this will be brighter. I will again refresh it, and now once this renders, see, you can see that this is working fine. So we have our, this entire text section is ready. Now one thing you may ask, how can I change this logo? Instead of HTML and these things, I want to add After Effects, Blender, Maya. So if you want to add your own technology logos, what you can do is, if you come over here in this assets folder, I will right click and I will open Reveal in File Explorer, and when I open it in the File Explorer, see, inside these assets there is a folder called Tech, and inside the Tech you have all these icons. So you can just open this icon and replace it with your own icon in the Photoshop. So with this, our job is done. Now I will go to File and save everything, and we have now completed our text section, and the next section we are going to work will be the works or the project section, where we are going to highlight all the projects that we have done, and this we are going to do it in our next session. Thank you.